the saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So Gen Z, let's take our seat in our democracy.
So you remember Olivia Juliana? You know, the lady that was supposed to tip the scales and recruit young white men to the Democratic Party? She got fired today. Yeah, she got fired. The DNC, DCCC, whoever the hell was employing her, I guess they just didn't think that she was making a big enough dent. So they let her go. $20 million to recruit young white men to the DNC. And Olivia couldn't do it. I wonder why.
Olivia Juliana just exposed herself in a big, fat, enormous lie on X. It all started with Tim Pool posted this. 90% of liberals we try to book demand money. 0% of conservatives ask for money. In fact, conservatives sometimes drive themselves even though we cover travel and accommodation. Liberals are grifters. They don't care about ideas. They care about money. They will say anything for money. This applies to his Timcast IRL show when they have guests on to talk about whatever's going on in the news. Olivia Juliana shared it and said 10,000 likes and I'll post screenshots of Tim's team offering me money to collab with him. Which quickly someone on Tim Pool's team fact-checked her. These are little messages they sent to her about an event they're having with nothing about money in it. They mentioned arranging for their travel and accommodations to be provided, which Tim Pool said in his original post. Even her responding right here saying she can't attend. When all that was exposed yesterday, she just responded with Tim Pool's bald head, which we all know once you start going to personal attacks, that's when you know you lost. But today she posts what was literally posted yesterday proving her wrong and said, you offered to pay for my travel and accommodations, which is offering money. So instead of just saying she lied about being offered money, she's now trying to say she was because accommodations were offered to be covered. You got exposed for lying, accept it.
Boy. So we got to talk about some huge news, okay, involving plus-size influencer for the Democrat Party, Olivia Juliana, who's weighing a very heavy decision about whether or not she wants to run for Congress, because you have Texas Republican Representative Wesley Hunt of the Texas 38 District. He has decided that he's going to jump in the Senate race, right? He's going to take on John Cornyn and Ken Paxton, who currently are in a blood feud, to be the Senate nominee for the Republicans. And Wesley Hunt has said, you know what, I'm going to jump in this race. Take a look.
Republican Congressman and now U.S. Senate candidate Wesley Hunt of Houston, thank you so much, and welcome to Eye on Politics.
Thank you for having me, sir. Really appreciate it.
So after months of speculation, you decided you are going to run for U.S. Senate. Yeah. Why is that?
Well, it's my opinion that this race cannot be about a blood feud between Ken Paxton and John Cornyn. This race has got to be about Texas. And what I've watched over the course of the past few months is a lot of mudslinging, a lot of name calling, but no one's talking about what's happening on our southern border. No one's talking about energy policy. No one's talking about keeping Texans safe. And so I am running to focus solely on the issues that matter most to Texans and to give people an alternative that they clearly want. We've been watching polling over the course of the past few months. We've been monitoring it, my team and I, very, very closely. And what we have discovered is this. People here in Texas want somebody that's going to focus on Texas, put Texas first, bring Texas policies to D.C., not the other way around. And that's why at this critical juncture, I chose to get in the race.
You're going up against two people who obviously have a lot of name recognition across the state.
Yeah.
You don't. You're from Houston, obviously well known there, but not well known up here. And so what do you believe you bring to the table, and what is your path to victory?
I think it's a fresh face. It's a fresh look. It's new leadership. When John Cornyn was first elected to office, I was 2 years old. When he became the Attorney General in 1992, that was when the Dream Team was playing in Barcelona. I was playing a Pop Warner football and drinking Capri Sun and Necto Cooler and eating orange slices after my soccer games. It is time for us to have a new form of leadership, a new age of leadership, and a new generation of leadership. And I'm here to tell you that the United States Senate is not a retirement community. This is a young man's game. This is about taking the fight to D.C., putting America first. And I want people to know this. I was the first person in the entire country to endorse President Trump on his last run. I have stuck with him throughout this entire process. I've been to Iowa 11 times on his behalf. I traveled with him to California. I traveled with him to Chicago and Nevada and Pennsylvania and Georgia. And I've realized that being an American first patriot is exactly what Texans want, because President Trump just won this state by almost 15 points. That's how I differ from John Cornyn.
Yeah, so like I said, plus size influencer Olivia Juliana is weighing heavily the decision about whether or not she should run for Congress, right? She asked this question to her followers if she should run for Congress. Now, here's the thing. Who knows, okay? Maybe if Olivia Juliana gets to running, right, she'll get a lot of momentum, right? I'm sure that it will be easy for her to build momentum. She just got to get to going. And once she gets on the roll, I'm pretty sure she'll be an unstoppable force. So who knows? Who knows? Okay. Unless she gets a Democrat challenger that can level the playing field like her, and then it will be a heavyweight challenge, right? She have a heavyweight challenge on our hands. But all jokes aside, okay. I hope she runs, right? I hope she runs. I'm going to tell you why I hope that she runs here in a little bit. But she chimed in on Wesley Hunt running for Senate, leaving his congressional seat open. Again, she is thinking about taking his seat, right? Replacing him. That's what she's thinking about doing. However, in full transparency, I don't think she can actually do this because she's not 25. I believe she's 22. And the election will be next year. So she definitely would not be 25 by then. Who knows? Maybe she's thinking about running in 2028. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Maybe her campaign needs some time to get in shape, right? before she can run. So I'm not entirely sure what time frame she was talking about, but I don't think that she's eligible. Regardless, she says that Wesley Hunt will lose the primary, maybe get 67% of the vote, end up running for mayor of Houston, or get some low-level place in the Trump administration. So, again, she's chopping in on Wesley Hunt. Now, I personally believe that if she was to run, okay, and this is why I am encouraging her to run if she can run, but if she can't run, I'm encouraging people like her to run, because this is an R+10 district, right? It's an R+10 district. And I would love nothing more than for progressives to start primarying these Democrats, right? And these red-leaning districts, right? These moderate districts. Yeah. Olivia Juliana, run, right? Run, okay? Progressive candidate, run. Please run, okay? Please. Because if the progressive defeats the Democrat in the primary, then in the general election, it's going to make it a lot easier for Republicans to win, right? So could you imagine somebody like Olivia Juliana running in a Republican district, right? Could you imagine her, being that she's an expert, right? She's an expert in getting young men, right? Could you imagine her on the campaign trail?
We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth.
You are living up to the nickname you have been given on social media, which is Gavin Newsom.
Newsom. I didn't hear that. I only hear new scum from Trump.
No.
I haven't heard Newsom. I like that.
Hell yeah. Governor Newsom. I am a Texas Democrat. I live in Texas right now. And I was at 2 of the public hearings they had about these redistricting maps. Sat there for over 10 hours and watched the Republicans in our state legislature as they listened to their constituents beg and plead for them to have a conscience. And they were on their phones. They weren't paying attention. They were laughing. They were chastising them. I might be a Texas Democrat, but I'll have boots down on the ground in California to help get this ballot initiative passed, because what they're doing here is so unconscionable. And I am so grateful that a Democratic governor in a different state gives enough of a shit about the people who are living here in my home that you're doing something about it. So I appreciate that very, very much.
The reason why Republican messaging resonates with men
is because men want bad things, right? It's like men want to have sex and like own women, right? Like they want to dominate everybody. And Republicans say, you get to do that. And then Democrats can't say that. So we just lost men. It's over, right? Like, what are you talking about? Like a lot of times it will be men that are liberals who will like agree with that shit. I'm like, dude, what are you like? What is going on? Like there's a lot of men that don't think that way, obviously. And it's just such a negative view to take on like half of the human race.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys, and in that I realized like even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
Yeah, I say get on the ballot, right? Get Olivia Juliana on the ballot. I'm sure if she stepped into the race, right? She jumped into the race, it would be a political earthquake, right? I'm sure that she would shake some things up, right? Politically. Okay? So, you know, I mean, my point is that if these far lefties want to start running, great. It'll be easier for us, especially again in these right-leaning districts. Yeah, go ahead, right? Run for Congress. I don't think she's eligible, but she should take a bite at it, right? Because she's going to end up the same way some of her predecessors have ended up, which is losing. And one of the reasons why is because despite her apparent expertise in getting young men on board with the Democrat Party, right? She's a specialist. She loves the frat guys, right? According to her. Gen Z young men are still trending towards the GOP, right? According to new data. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
New data shows the Republican Party making strong gains with young men from Generation Z. This report comes from Decision Desk HQ, suggesting Gen Z is trending differently than their older counterparts, millennials. The younger generation, especially young men, are moving toward Republicans. Some polling released in June found Republicans edged out Democrats among young men at 48% to 42%. This voting bloc is credited with helping to secure President Trump's 2024 win and is a key target for Democrats this upcoming midterm cycle. Joining us now, co-host of the FY Pod podcast at the Bulwark, Cameron Kasky. Cameron, I think I was so fascinated by some of the polling coming out of Yale University, where they talk about and kind of dig into what this younger voting bloc is thinking about. They poll them on things like immigration, like support for Ukraine, and they're showing that this younger group of voters actually has some leniency and some moderation when it comes to those issues. What I'm saying here is that the polling doesn't necessarily show that on policy they track as hardcore Republicans, and yet we are seeing this pull anyway. What's behind it as you see it?
There's one big difference with the Republicans and the Democrats as it pertains to Gen Z men, which is the Republicans put in effort to bargain with young men and the Democrats don't. I feel as though the Democratic Party feels very entitled to a lot of different votes that they don't go on to try and win. And this is much more than a Gen Z thing. This goes across many different types of communities, but it is undeniable that young men are shifting to the right and very hard. But I get really annoyed when people act like this is some sort of fatal thing, like this can't be fixed. It could actually be fixed very easily. You have to talk about affordability and cost of living and put economic issues at the center of your agenda and communicate those things. Young men have been radicalized on a lot of social media algorithms by malicious actors who try to convince us that the opportunities we feel robbed of in life right now are being taken from us by women and minorities. Meanwhile, oligarchs are laughing about all the division that these social media platforms are able to sow. So if the Democratic Party had any gall, if they had a brain, they would go to young men, bargain with them, and say, you are being left behind. You are being thrown under the bus. But it's not woke. It's not DEI. It's the oligarchs. And unfortunately, a lot of Democrats are still taking money from these people.
Spoken like a true Marxist. Spoken like a true Marxist, okay, who basically just argued that, well, see, young men have been brainwashed and radicalized by the internet. And I'm like, no. I actually think young women, right? I think when we're having this conversation about which gender has been more radicalized by the internet, I definitely would say it's been young women, okay? But again, the argument here from this guy is that, listen, no, men don't feel the way they feel because of their real life experiences. No. It's because they've been radicalized by the internet. And these type of people think that they're going to win back young men, okay? I don't understand why is it that MSDNC decides to bring on another low-T individual. They always bring on low-T individuals, right, to talk about men, okay? And it's like, yo, you can't talk about men with these guys, right? They all look the same. This is why you're always wrong. This is why you can't make inroads. You're depending on plus-size women, like plus-size women and low testosterone men. That's your outreach. And as long as that's your outreach and your data analysts, your consultants, yeah, Democrats going to be lost, right? They're going to be very, very, very lost. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.